What's going on, guys, and welcome to the channel. I just recently wrapped up the Lightfall campaign, and I think it's time to talk about my thoughts on it. Apparently, it is not doing so well critically, so yeah, let's get into it. First of all, this video is going to include a lot of major spoilers to the story, so if you haven't finished the expansion or if you're wanting a spoiler-free hot take, let me see. Too long didn't read. It has great action. It has pretty good locations. I like the new subclass. It's one of my favorites. I really like the exotic bow, but story-wise, it leaves a lot to be desired. If you're a first-time Destiny 2 player that is just now coming into the game with this expansion, if this is your starting point, and if story is going to be a major factor for you, and for the veterans that are hoping for an excuse to come back into the Destiny fold, it might not provide everything you've always wanted, outside of the PvP experience, that is. First of all, there are some good things. There are some good things that are in this expansion, and I want to talk about those first. I want to talk about what it is that I liked about the expansion. Right now, there is an explosion of critical reaction going on within the community, almost to the point of pure vitriol. I'm not in any way discounting those opinions. They are all very valid, and I think they all need to be addressed by Bungie quickly. However, I do feel that the game did some things right, though for now, I feel like all that it's done right is being pushed aside because of these more glaring issues. I think on a cinematic level, the game delivered. I found myself really captivated by the cutscenes. I was genuinely immersed whenever I was seeing some of these events play out. So I do want to give credit to where credit is due. I did feel a certain amount of immersion in the game, and I really enjoyed, I want to say I really enjoyed the new subclass. That's obviously a hot take, and I know that some people are having a bit of issue with the strand aspect being how quick the cooldowns were and how impactful it was during the missions versus its implementation elsewhere once the story campaign is over with. I think that, yeah, something does need to be tweaked there. I know that supposedly it was kit-bashed into Lightfall from Witch Queen, and to be fair, it did feel that way, but I think the subclass performs well. I found myself taking to it rather quickly, and once I got the moves down, it was only a matter of time. It was only a matter of just waiting for the next instance in the game that I got to use it. I liked the revamp of the menu system. What aspects got revamped? I think it's like a breath of fresh air. Everything feels a little bit more streamlined. I genuinely enjoy all of the changes. And while I've really kind of only toyed around with the loadouts, I can see a huge potential for finally working on different builds beyond my general purpose loadout. Okay, this next part is where spoilers are going to come in, so last chance to bail out. I was very pleased that we all but got confirmation on the return of Nezarec, something that I called out early in Season of Plunder when we had the name drops and when I suspected that we were gathering pieces of his corpse in the weekly season missions. Now, I'm certain that I was not the first person to realize what was going on, but I definitely remember having that eureka moment, and it was glorious. I liked the Tormentors. While probably the most terrifying enemies I've faced in Destiny 2 since my first encounter with legendary barrier champions, I think that Tormentors they're satisfying to fight. Admittedly, the Callous boss fight with two of those bastards was a bit frustrating. They managed to piss me off in all the right ways, but I think they add some much needed flavor and diversity to the roster of enemies in the game. So good job there, Bungie. As for the Callous the Disciple fight, it was very satisfying. I'll admit in my live stream, I got a bit frustrated. I felt underpowered going into it at first, but after wiping a few times, I was able to get the hang of the dance moves, get the groove. And yeah, it felt really good beating up Callous after how many years of him haunting me in the various expansions and seasons of the game now. I'm sure that there are some who were speculating that he might be the new raid boss, but I figured that if he was, it would be too much washing and repeating on Bungie's part. So my money has always been, and it still is, on Nezarec. It's always been Nezarec. Neomuna. Let's talk about some of the positives there. Now, it could be that I was just wowed, overwhelmed by the wow factor. By the fact that we had this newer, cleaner looking environment after years spent going over the same rusted wastelands, the EDZ, the Cosmodrome. Yeah, Neomuna is a fantastic change of pace, but it does come with a few caveats, which I'll save for the second portion of this video. So yes, I love the arcade loft sector. I think the overall location is almost everything that it was hyped up to be. Almost. There are other various quality of life changes that I really like. I think the Ingram management system has become much easier to deal with. No longer having umbral Ingrams clutter up my inventory was a much welcome change. And while I know a lot of us were worried about the weapon crafting system being drastically overhauled, so far I really haven't noticed much difference for now anyway. The modding systems, the loadouts, it's all very refreshing. Okay, so that mostly covers the game, but I think we need to talk about what's really going on here and what's really got a lot of the fans up in arms, and that is the story. Good, bad, the gameplay, good, bad, changes good, changes bad. What it all comes down to now is it's a shambled mess. It's as if they didn't even use the same writing team for Lightfall that they did for Witch Queen. And I suspect that they knew that it was weak and were just hoping that all the flash and dazzle and the hype would wash over that fact, and maybe we'd not notice it. So this is going to take a little time. I'm going to run down the list here. So here's the issues as I see them. So let's start with the dialogue. I think the dialogue is abysmal. It's almost as if most of the characters don't have a clue on how to read the room. We've allegedly been handed nothing short of a major catastrophic failure, and we're getting passive, blasé, whatever will be, will be. This is not what I expected. I expected it to come back to the tower after the end of the campaign and find panic, to find disruption. Instead, it's business as usual, with the exception of, some, the Queen's Guard, Queen's Wrath, the Cabal, everybody kind of milling about, just standing in their little areas. Really, nothing has changed. There was no effect after the cause, and none of the dialogue reflects that deeply. It's staggering. It's staggering how little it seems anyone cares that this tragic thing has happened. Let's talk about the characters. I want to talk about Nimbus. I want to get that out of the way early on. So you're really taking every opportunity to wedge in character backstory into key moments of the narrative that do not work. So yeah, my mentor just blew himself to smithereens, but haha, jolly good show out there, Guardian. You rock. I remember a time when I was just a rookie and now I'm the one in charge. Heh. None of that works. Just cough that up to also bad dialogue. Shoehorning in these characters in this way did not work. Subplots. In a franchise like this, I think subplot is essential. And we've had really good subplots. We've had subplots upon subplots. But the Osiris Strand subplot is not essential. It was never essential. Not in the way that it was implemented. The Witness is literally standing at the threshold of the Traveler, and we're rushing to Neptune to prevent Callus from getting the veil. And we do what? We take a break from the planetary invasion to go train with a new subclass that then shifts the narrative focus of the entire expansion. Unacceptable. The season story, completely unnecessary. We introduce the season story with the crash of Amanda Holliday's ship and prisoners being taken on Earth, and so we are off to rescue her. Why? Don't we have our hands full on Neptune? Isn't Callus a much bigger threat? Why is Marasov standing in the middle of the farm, endlessly using her space wizard magic to create a gateway into the nether realm? So we can rescue the prisoners over and over again? Is she really going to be standing there for 10 weeks? Don't we have a tower full of guardians? If this isn't a all hands on deck situation, I really don't know what the hell is. In a matter of minutes, okay, in a matter of minutes, the entire Guardian legacy got neutered. I mean, not to beat a dead Vanguard here, but I got more out of Zavala and Ikora when the Red War happened. Or do we need to have them get their nice cushy tower blown up to have them do anything? I get it. We're the Guardian. We are the player. We're the hero that gets things done and everyone loves us. But we just can't be everywhere. And when you write in unrealistic expectations narratively, it has an effect. Now, this next one is just a wee little gripe here, okay? It's the darkness. Is it good? Is it bad? And I've been mildly irritated with this approach since Beyond Light. But now it really just got confusing. Destiny started off on a very clear-cut path of light versus darkness. We knew exactly where the line in the sand was, and now it's all over the place. There's no good, there's no evil, we're all just dust in the wind here. Let's embrace the chaos and save the day. I am a very old school fan of good versus evil. I don't need to understand evil or be its friend in order to stop evil. I mean, forget that we have entire tomes of lore dedicated to followers of the darkness that have committed planetary genocide. We're going to F around with Stasis and Strand because of all of the super powerful cosmic entities in existence. A lone random guardian from the Russian Cosmodrome can just, what? Not be influenced by it? But whatever. As long as we don't see evil as evil, then maybe we can all just be friends. Maybe at the end, when this is all over, maybe the witness really wasn't bad. He was just misunderstood, and we can all have a good laugh around the campfire, reminiscing about all the good times. Hey, remember when you caused the whirlwind? Yeah, good times, right? I digress. Let's talk about the plot. Oh, okay. Now, plot holes and plot logic issues. A lot of critics are calling things plot holes when really they're just plot logic issues. Now, that's not to say that there aren't a lot of introduced plot holes, and I think the biggest one needs to be talked about. One major plot hole is it was the implication that once the witness arrived, did his thing to the traveler, we would suffer another collapse. That a second collapse was inevitable. Now, maybe I was being naive and assuming that it was going to be sort of instantaneous, but there were implications. The entire dark future narrative that Elsie Bray fed us in Beyond Light it seems like it just got body slammed as soon as the witness shows up, and now the lore doesn't seem to mesh. Because by definition, a plot hole is when new events contradict previous events, okay? And that is what seems to be happening here. Now, this is also a pretty big one, and that's the whole MacGuffin thing, okay? I just don't even know where to start with this one, but imagine if in the Marvel films, we're watching the Infinity War movie, and we're given no information about the Infinity Gauntlet, okay? As a viewer, we're just watching it. And all of the characters, though, seem to know what it is. But as the viewer, we're left completely in the dark. We've never seen it. We don't know what the stones do. We don't even know what the stones are. We don't know that the stones are connected to the gauntlet. And everyone is off to find this thing because they clearly know what it is and what it does. And then suddenly Thanos shows up wearing it. He snaps his finger. We know that he's not supposed to use this thing, but apparently he's wearing it. He snaps his finger. And we're like, at this point, so what does it do? That would be just dumb, wouldn't it? I mean, that's the entire plot of Lightfall in a nutshell. Look, we are the protagonists of this story. Every bit of information that we get comes to us externally. We don't do a lot of talking. We don't express ourselves emotionally. We get all of that stuff fed to us from Ghost and from other character interactions. We depend on the narrative input from these external sources. It is vital that we, the player, understand what the hell is going on. And trust me, if ever there was a time to know what was going on, it was in Lightfall. The time for subtlety was over. If Osiris knows something, and what he knows is key to the situation, then we need to know it. For real, my asking in my live stream, my asking the question, what even is the veil? Moments before we arrive at the complex to stop Callus, minutes before I look to see what it is, and I see this shimmery, what looks like a shimmery whirlpool, was just sad. Because I'm looking at this thing and I don't even understand what it is that I'm looking at. I'm like, oh, well, that's a thing, isn't it? It was pitiful. Because if I don't know what it is or why it's important, why the hell should I care about fighting for it? So, let's talk about subversion. Subversion can be done well, and subversion can be done poorly. And I think it was done very poorly. I will admit that I did not see the whole Ghost thing happening. And it kind of did blow my mind. But then all of the impact of Ghost being manipulated to establish the link or whatever it was got lost in the shuffle of confusion. So that it sort of seemed like this whole thing came out of nowhere. I mean, thinking back, yeah, Ghost has been compromised since Shadowkeep. I wonder why no one has thought to look into that. Maybe question it a little bit. Maybe get him checked out. Or just maybe give us a bit of foreshadowing that isn't effing 4 years old. But because our character literally played it off as yet another, well, whatever will be moment, and not the, wow, dude, I just nearly blew you out of the sky. It was completely unspectacular. Do you not understand how cause and effect work here, Bungie? Did our Ghost not just, I don't know, inadvertently cause us to lose? Is no one going to point that out and say, dude, so you're the guardian whose ghosts caused this? Okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's just lives, right? I mean, we don't need to be mad at Ghost. I mean, why stay mad at him? Uldren Sov killing Cade? That's okay. Because it wasn't really him, just like it wasn't really Ghost. So Ghost triggering the witness to carve up the traveler is okay too. Look, this story is an effing mess. That doesn't deserve. I'm being brutally honest here. I'm sorry. I'm going to be brutally honest here. This story does not deserve to follow up the masterpiece that preceded it. This was the moment we were supposed to get some answers, not just more questions. I didn't need everything explained. I do want some mystery. Sure. But it's an entire campaign where we, the player, just get jerked around. So now what? Are we finally going to get those answers in the next expansion? Do I dare dream of it? Or are we just setting up another year of season passes for us to buy? If you want to know why Lightfall fails as a story, I can sum it up in one word: gravitas. The entire campaign ends with no weight to any of the choices, events, or moments that happen. The ramifications of the Vanguard doing nothing, the consequences of the veil being used to do whatever was done to the Traveler, Ghost being an inadvertent tool of the Witness, it was all pointless because it all went right back to where it was before it started. We're no better, seemingly no worse. It's all just fine. I don't know. I've gone on enough. And even though I didn't want to do it, this did sort of turn into something of a rant. But I can't help but feel that so much potential was just wasted. I really do like Destiny. And I will still like Destiny. And I will still play it. And I will still enjoy sinking hours into the gameplay and the hunt for the exotics and the grind. But the story here, the story of Lightfall, took a serious hit. And I think more than that, the franchise took a hit as well. I only gripe and complain because I know that Destiny is capable of much more. Guys, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. I know that this was a very long video, and I appreciate anyone that took the time to watch this through to the end. I don't make these very often, or often enough, maybe. I don't know. But I just want to say thank you. I know I don't speak for everyone when it comes to Destiny. There are YouTube content creators that do a much better job than I ever will at Destiny content. But I really hope that I was able to convey some of my thoughts about this and my opinions. So anyway, thank you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here on the channel. And if you'd like to show your support, you can do so by liking this video. And if you're new to the channel, let me welcome you and invite you to subscribe. I do stream almost every day here on YouTube. So if you want to watch some games with me, I look forward to having you. As always, guys, thank you so much. Have an amazing day. Keep being awesome, and I will see you in the next video.